Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 144. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. We're still in the midst of summer, which means that I am bringing you some replays and some remixes. And today's episode, I am featuring several of the episodes I have done about clothing and building a wardrobe that you love. So I am calling it the Wardrobe Refresh Remix, my 5 best tips for a wardrobe you love, featuring some of my best episodes, and you can find the links to all of those episodes in the show notes today. So what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen, and let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this. Okay, the first tip that I have is remembering that your wardrobe is what fits you now, what you love. And to illustrate this point, I am going to bring you a clip from one of the top downloaded episodes ever on the show, episode 33. Edit Your Closet Without Photo Fear of Throwing Out, with Jennifer Mackey Mary from Everyday Style. So Jennifer is a fantastic style guru, and I am going to let her take it away to talk a little bit more about what our wardrobe should be.
So the first thing I want everyone to think about is that your closet should be the boutique you shop from every morning. It is not a museum for the person you were 5 years ago or a warehouse for the person you hope to be in 5 years. It should be like, imagine if you went to a store, right? Everyone has their favorite little boutique or somewhere they feel is special. You go in and the only thing they have is clothes that don't fit you. How often do you want to go to that store? Never, right? Like, it's frustrating. You feel bad about yourself. Or imagine you went in there and all they had was like work suits. And you're like, well, I go to the grocery store and the gym. So you wouldn't want to go there either. So your closet has to be where you shop every morning. So it needs to fit the person you are now, both literally and figuratively. You need to be able to go in there and get dressed easily. Clothes that don't fit you, they mock you in the morning, but they don't motivate you during the day. And every woman's like, oh, I'm going to get back into those jeans. Okay, cool. But when you're out to lunch with your friends, have you ever said, oh, no, I'm not going to do dessert because I have a pair of, Britney Spears era low-rise jeans in my closet that don't fit? No. But when you see them in the morning, you're like, oh, I remember when I could wear those. Like, they make you feel bad about yourself in that moment, but they don't do anything for you in the day. And every woman who's ever lost weight, and I'm a champion at losing weight, we know that when you go down in size, you're not like, old clothes. No. Every woman's like, I want to buy myself something new. So what are you hanging on for? And I understand that is a really emotional thing for women, to let go of these clothes. So what I would suggest is, if you're not ready just to let them go, box them up. There have been times where my closet has looked more like a warehouse or a storage facility, because anything I cannot wear in the current season of my life, not necessarily on the calendar, but current season of my life, gets boxed up. I don't want to look at it. What happens when you do that? And whether that is, clothes that don't fit, or clothes, if you're going back to work someday, or, you're going to travel again someday, whatever, your someday clothes should be boxed up. And then what you have left is the clothes you can actually wear right now. That's it. That's all that's there. And a lot of times, and it's funny, I was just working on an episode about this yesterday. A lot of times when when we look at our clothes as the entire contents of our closet as being our wardrobe, what we don't recognize is that we really don't have anything to wear. Your wardrobe is not all the clothes you own. It's all the clothes you can and do wear. That's it. So when you strip everything that you can't wear or don't want to wear away, often you go, oh, this is why I'm struggling to get dressed. I literally don't have any pants. Right. And you can see the problem clearly. And it cuts down, all of those minutes you spend flipping through your closet, they all add up. They all add up. So if you go in and you literally only have 10 things to wear and you see 10 things to wear, it is so much faster to get dressed.
All right, tip number 2 is recognizing aspirational clutter, things that fit you in previous seasons, and maybe that was 10 pounds ago, 2 kids ago, and it's making you feel bad about yourself now and every time you go into your closet. And in episode 10, I talk about aspirational clutter, why it's the most challenging type of clutter for moms, and I talk a little bit about clothing and what we can do to recognize that aspirational clutter and remove it from our wardrobe. So here you go. Why is aspirational clutter so problematic for moms? Well, when our time and energy is being taken up by our kids and our other responsibilities most of the time, it's easy for us to get lost. And by us, I mean our real selves, the women we are outside of the roles that we play. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that aspirational clutter is anything that represents who we were in the past or who we want to be in the future. Let's start with the past. Our bodies, our hobbies, our dreams and goals, they all shift after having kids. And because of that, we are often holding on to things from our past that we tell ourselves we will, quote, get back to doing or wearing once we have the time or can lose the weight or whatever the case may be. So we surround ourselves with things that make us feel bad about who we aren't anymore. As for a potential future self, it's getting to be the time of year now when we think about our goals and aspirations for the new year. And while that is fine, sometimes we purchase things or refuse to let go of things because of an ideal version of ourselves that just isn't realistic in this season. Another way to think of aspirational clutter is that we often use the words should and someday when referring to it. We should be able to wear this pair of jeans if only we lost some weight. We will finish that crafting project someday when we have the time, so we hold on to it. Unfortunately, someday usually never comes, and shoulds just make us feel bad about ourselves. Today, I'd like to give 4 examples of aspirational clutter so we can talk about how this shows up for us as moms and how we can finally start letting go of the shoulds and somedays that aren't serving us. The first major type of aspirational clutter is clothing. Now, if you're planning to have more kids and you're holding on to some maternity clothing or limited amounts of baby clothing and so forth, that's fine. As we talked about in episode 6, use the power of artificial boundaries to determine how much you will keep and what you will let go of. What I'm talking about here is clothing that doesn't fit our current body or current lifestyle. For me, it was dresses. I used to have a ton of dresses for work and special occasions. Dresses, they were my kryptonite. But after becoming a stay-at-home mom in 2016, I realized that I was never going to wear all of the dresses in my closet. Going into my closet, it made me feel a little sad and wistful for a season of my life that was over. And of course, there were clothes that just didn't fit my body anymore. I could look at them every day and think, you're so fat. You need to lose weight. Remember how good you looked in this? Now you can't even zip it up. But who wants to think those negative thoughts every day when you go to get dressed? When it comes to clothing, I give you permission to embrace your current body and season of life. If something doesn't fit you or your lifestyle, at the very least put it aside for a while in a box or bin that is out of sight. Put a reminder in your phone for 30 to 60 days to decide whether you want to keep the items. But most likely, going into a closet filled with what you use and love and nothing else is going to make you feel so much better. You're not going to want to go back to the alternative. I hope these tips have been helpful so far. my third best tip is to, of course, use the container concept, which I talk about in episode 6, and that is something I learned from Dana K. White. And you can use the container concept to designate space both in your drawers and also your hanging clothing. So this clip comes from episode 55. Is your closet overflowing with clothes you never wear? Try these 5 decluttering hacks. So here you go. Okay, so the second hack is using the container concept that I speak about in episode 6 and pretty much every episode after for your clothing. You want to designate a certain amount of physical space for each category of clothing. Now, I talk about this pretty far at length in episode 48. Most people, have their clothing hanging in closets or laying in drawers. I'm not going to say folded because no judgment here. But have you ever designated a certain amount of space for each category? Depending on the size of your drawer, maybe you have one category of things in there. I have a drawer for sweaters, for example, just sweaters. My drawers are big enough that I can comfortably put dividers in them, and so I can put limits on certain categories of clothing items using them. You can get super fancy, but remember, I'm not going to encourage you to go buy any bins or dividers. I cut the tops and sides off of Amazon boxes, and I use those to separate my underwear, bras, socks, sports bras, tights and pantyhose, and so forth. My kids have them in their drawers for underwear and socks. And if you want to see this in action, join the free Facebook group where I frequently do behind-the-scenes tours of my home. For hanging things, you can use the masking tape hack that I mentioned in episode 48. You can designate a certain amount of space for short sleeve shirts, long sleeve shirts, dresses, skirts, and so forth. And then you can put a little bit of masking tape on the hanging rod so you have a physical limit for those items to be there comfortably. All right, we're already on tip number 4, and by this point, you've really been able to focus on what you love, what fits you now in your wardrobe, and you have a pretty good idea of what you want it to look like. This next tip has to do with how we decide whether we're keeping something based upon whether we're actually wearing it or not. So I actually have a couple tips I'm going to share here from episode 137 that I did recently, 5 steps to a summer capsule wardrobe. And so why don't you go ahead and check them out. And step number 5 is to use, once you've decided on what your capsule wardrobe is going to be, use the reverse hanger trick to see what you are actually wearing from the capsule wardrobe that you have selected. So if you don't know, the reverse hanger trick is that you put all the hangers backwards, and then as you wear something, you can turn the hanger around so you can see after a 1 to 2 week period what clothes you gravitate towards and which you don't really wear at all, which can help aid you in deciding whether you want to declutter something or not. Now, obviously for items in drawers, you can't use the reverse hanger trick. And so what I usually do is if I am lining up things left to right, let's say like my workout pants or something like that, then you can take from the left, and then, as I like to say with the Beyonce song, to the left, everything in my drawer, move it to the left, okay? And then anything, when you do laundry, you can just put the new things to the right and keep moving things over. This works best for things maybe that aren't super specific, like underwear or workout pants or something like that. But you can also use it for t-shirts or things, just to see what am I actually wearing and what am I not wearing. Similarly, if you stack things vertically, so that might be for shorts, for example, then anytime that you have the cleanest shorts, you can put them on the bottom and then have the ones that haven't been worn closer to the top. So I hope that those little tricks are helpful, but the point is making sure that you are wearing everything that you have selected. If not, then you can use that out of sight, out of mind bin, or possibly declutter it. The last and final tip comes from my conversation with Jeannie Stith. She is the CEO of Color Guru, and I've spoken about Color Guru quite a bit on the show. You can go ahead and check out the show notes for how you can save 10% with the code overwhelm. But she talks in this clip about why it's so important to shop color first when you are deciding if you need anything to fill those gaps in your wardrobe from what you have removed, or even when you're looking to declutter what you already have, being able to take those colors out that don't really look good on you anymore. I love my color card. I use it all the time. I can't say enough good things about it. So I hope you enjoy this last tip from Jeannie Stith. I think that there is sort of this perception anytime I tell someone, oh, I got my colors done, they immediately look back to like the 80s and they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's so much better than that. I promise. And I mean, I'm 43, so I was like born in 1980 and I have like vague recollections of hearing about that. But I think that what I love is just sort of the nuance. And I was reviewing my report. It's like this 15-page report with like everything you could ever want to know about what looks good on you and what doesn't and why. I'm like, this is so fantastic because for me, like you said, the boundaries. I love being able to go into a store where I know that the style of clothing fits me. So at least I have that figured out. But then just be able to see like, it's literally like, I can just look at the store and go, oh, okay, there's one. And it just makes it so much easier because as overwhelmed moms, and I'm not really an online shopping person, but if you are like an in-store, okay, I need to get this done in like less than an hour because my kid's getting up from a nap, or like I promised my husband I would be home. You really have to be focused, with the shopping. So I just really appreciate that you went with, like you said, what helped you and saw that gap in the need and the marketplace, especially I know for moms that they go into that full closet with quote unquote nothing to wear, right?
I really was that statistic. I was wearing 20% of my closet at the
Yeah.
time, before I had my colors done. And now I wear probably 90% of my closet. I still make the occasional purchase where I'm like, I don't know how to wear this thing. It's not perfect, but it's so much better. And I love what you said about like just going into the store and like looking for colors, because I also discovered very quickly, I'm very into efficiency as well. Like I want the things in my life that I don't sort of deeply care about to be very efficient, right? And people always think like, oh, you own this, company that's all about clothes and you must be so into fashion. I am not at all into fashion. Like I am into how quick and easy can I make this and still look good. You know what I mean? That's the combination I want. I was like, I want to look good and I want it to be fast and easy. And what I learned was when you go into a store with your color card, the only thing that you can scan for easily is color. So I always tell, our customers, shop color first, because it's the only thing you can go into a store and quickly scan for. The other two parts of dressing, it's not just about color, but like you said, it's about style, your personal style, and then your body shape. So like, I know that I look good in a fit and flare dress and I can't wear a shift dress to save my life because my body's too curvy for it, for example. So like, but if I were to try to shop by shape first or style first, I would have to like list up every garment and assess it. Whereas you can I avoid whole racks of like shades that don't look good on me. I just don't even touch them ever. I just scan for my colors and then I look at it and go, is this a shape that's going to look okay on my body type? Are the pants short enough because I'm very petite? Is this a style that I like? And then everything I take into the dressing room color-wise is like already a done deal.
Well, there you have it. There are my top 5 tips in this wardrobe refresh remix. Remember, your wardrobe is what fits you now. Recognize that aspirational clutter. Use the container concept to designate space in drawers and hanging areas. Use the reverse hanger trick and to the left in your drawers to see what clothes you're actually wearing. And for any gaps in your wardrobe, shop color first. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be back next Thursday with an interview that I had on the Simple and Intentional podcast podcast about how you can use your chronotype to maximize your productivity. So I can't wait to see you then. See you next Thursday. Bye for now. If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact, but 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.